We only have 1 week to go, and signs of a red wave are kind of getting bigger than ever. The final edition of the Fox News Power Rankings shows dangerous territory for the Democrats, with the GOP forecast to win a decisive House majority. But not everyone in the media wants to hear that.
If you get past those headlines and dig a little deeper, you uncover an insidious and seemingly intentional campaign by Republican-backed polling firms to flood the zone and tip the balance of polling averages in favor of their candidates, to create a narrative that Republicans are surging and that a red wave is imminent and inevitable.
While some are dismissing the possibility of a red wave, Democrats are doing their best to stop it. Former President Obama zigzagging across the country and campaigning in key battleground states. But President Biden hasn't really been seen, or is not in high demand. He showed up in Florida, however, which has been trending toward the Republicans. Biden attacking Republicans, claiming they want to slash Social Security and Medicare.
They're under siege by our Republican friends. And by the way, this ain't your father's Republican Party. This is a different deal right now. You've been paying in Social Security your whole life. You earned it. Now these guys want to take it away. Who in the hell do they think they are? Excuse my language. Watch what happens to the cost of living of hardworking Floridians. That's what I call inflation. At the end of the month, what you have left, if you have no money, that's inflation. What are you, the things you need, are they going up? And they are. God bless you all. God protect our troops. And God give some of our Republican friends some enlightenment.
Well, the Washington Post fact checkers giving Biden's claim about cutting Social Security and Medicare 4 Pinocchios. That is their worst rating that they can get. Might have deserved 5. We talked about this yesterday. But Katie, this is like a last-ditch effort. The only thing they're talking about on the economy is the Republicans, like this fake idea that they're going to cut Social Security and Medicare.
Yeah, so the Biden White House has tried to sell the Inflation Reduction Act, for example, as an accomplishment to the media and to the American people. But the polling actually shows that American people and likely voters don't actually think that the big legislation that President Biden has gotten through has been positive for the economy or for their lives. So what they see as something that's been good and something they can run at, and they made the argument that Republicans didn't help us get this across the finish line at all. Well, voters are saying, yeah, and we're glad that they didn't, and that's why we might hire them for the job on Tuesday. They're struggling with that. The other thing that they're, struggling with as well is talking about very last-minute issues that haven't been a topic of conversation up until this point. And if you're pivoting your message a week before the election, especially in places like Georgia, where early voter turnout is on not only a record for everyone, but on behalf of Republican voters, you got a problem on your hands 1 week out.
President Biden has run so many races over the years. I wonder how many times he has actually said that Republicans were going to cut Social Security and Medicare and all of that. You have been reluctant over the year to say red wave. How are you feeling now? What's your comfort level?
I'm comfortable with tsunami. It wasn't looking like a red wave earlier in August, and now it looks like a tsunami. So I've pivoted as the facts have changed. I love Joy Reid. She looked great, but she's got to get out of my lane because rigged polls are my lane. And she's not talking about Fox News polls, conservative leaning, being favorable to Republicans. I have right here the most accurate and inaccurate list of polls in the last election.
All right.
The worst polls were Quinnipiac, CNN, LA Times, Washington Post, ABC, and Monmouth and New York Times. The most accurate, Atlas Intel, Wick, Trafalgar, Insider Advantage, and Harris and Rasmussen. Those are independent polls. People say they're conservative leaning, but they actually speak to Republicans that won't speak to mainstream pollsters. They're saying there's not going to be a wave in Nevada. I said that right. Is it Nevada? Not Nevada. It's Nevada. The Republicans are ahead in the Senate. The Republicans are ahead in the gubernatorial race. And every congressional race there is either a toss-up or lean Republican. Now, Biden's going down there to talk about Charlie Crist, who the fix is in. They have a deal that he'll just say nice things about Joe Biden in Florida and then bloody up DeSantis, and he'll probably get an ambassadorship. That's the deal that's been cut down there. But this guy is getting worse as he campaigns. His lies are piling up. He's talking about the big lie. He tells a big lie every day. Republicans want to scrap Social Security. There's no recession. Inflation is 0. Republicans are causing the crime wave. This is really, really, really bad. Pinocchios are to the sky. I can see the nose from here.
That's a big nose. All right, let's play. I believe we have this call from Nevada, and it's from Nevada Independent. That's an outlet. John Ralston, this is what he said. We'll go to Harold after this.
I don't put much stock in any polling right now. We have already had people vote. We've had about 250,000 people vote in Nevada. You know, I track these early numbers very closely, and it looks like the Democrats are holding their registration in Nevada. So there are no signs of a red wave. There's no signs of a big Democratic wipeout coming. That doesn't mean it can't happen, of course.
Harold, in Nevada, the inflation for people like gas and groceries and things like that, it's double what it is across the country. And then they also had all the COVID losses with people losing their jobs. And you just have a a realignment for both parties happening. So Nevada could be the place where the Republicans might be able to flip a Senate seat and a gubernatorial seat.
Well, first of all, good to be back around the table.
Thank you.
Good to have you back.
There are four seats in the Senate I think we're all looking at. Nevada. Did I say that right?
Nevada.
You know what I'm talking about. Where Las Vegas is. That place, Georgia, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and Arizona. Now, the House, I think you have to separate these conversations. I think the House, I try to call balls and strikes. I think you're right. I don't know if it's a tsunami, but I think it's going to be a pretty good night for Republicans unless something dramatic happens. And frankly, because of the way these districts have been drawn, it's not a total surprise, but I don't dismiss the messaging at all out of there. But on the Senate, it's a little different. I think this race is still tight. If indeed all these things you're saying were right, the Republicans would be ahead in all of these states. They're tight races, and maybe the momentum is shifting here in the last several days. But, you know, Democrats are smart to put the Obamas. I'd put Michelle out there, too, if I were Democrat.
Where is Michelle?
I mean, you put your most gifted political athletes out in the last week here, and Obama is certainly that. And for that matter, where you put Biden, you put him in situational places. He's more of a situational player than he is an every down player.
Really?
I thought you would relate to that.
Yeah, what situation would that be?
Well, there are places where, like Hillary Clinton, I think is a situational player here in New York. You put her here in the Hochul race, which I think also is a race. That's one of the two races I'm watching.
You had a Democratic.
On election night.
Greg, there was a Democratic strategist, of course, didn't want to put his name on the record, who said that Kathy Hochul in New York is dragging down all the other Democrats in the state.
I'm not surprised. It's just hard to think because every time Joy Reid's lipstick is just on my mind. It's stunning, beautiful. I want everybody to know that I've been trying to wear that for years, but
we'll try
Fox won't allow
pull
me.
It off.
You know, it's funny. Why would anybody lie about a red wave? If anything, you would lie saying it's a toss-up because then that would get people to come out and vote. When you say it's a red wave, people like me who are intrinsically lazy won't leave their bed. So you have to tell people like me that we're going to lose, and then I'll get out. I've been trying to suppress the vote in my neighborhood by saying that all the people in the Capitol on January 6th voted. So if you vote, you're no better than an insurrectionist. Try using that. You will suppress the vote. I hope there are blowouts, right? Don't you hope there are blowouts? Because I don't want any drawn-out BS. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, because everybody's going to keep saying it's a threat to democracy. It's just going to be irritating. It's going to upset my schedule. I got stuff to do. And Harold, you said, you get your best players out there. What does that say about Joe? Like benching somebody during a championship game because if he took the field, you would lose. That's humbling. He is a mess, though, the stuff he's saying. I mean, it's like crazy stuff. The Democrats wanted to be like, the Darrens and Bewitched. Like they take him out and they put in a new Darren, and it's Obama. But it's more like Chuck from Happy Days. Remember Chuck?
Yeah.
They just disappeared Chuck.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Joe is the Chuck Cunningham of presidents. And it's like they're going like, if we just keep him upstairs, like Anthony Perkins in Psycho, no one will see him. But I think that, like, I'm not going to say red wave, but I do think there will be Republican control of obviously the House, maybe the Senate. And it'll be like parents coming home from the 2-week cruise, the House filled with, empty keggers, the carpet's ruined, broken windows, but the adults are home and they're going to try to fix everything. Because I think, Harold, you'd agree with me that wokeism has broken your party right now. And I think that, if you get a strong competition in there, the Democrats will come back to being a vibrant party, much like you are a vibrant person, Harold.
Greg, I hope whatever happens to your point that both parties take the right lessons from the outcome. I'm not convinced that's going to be the case, but I hope you're more right than wrong.
Yeah. It's good to see you anyway, though, Harold.
I'm going to make one comment, even though I'm supposed to be leading the block. So the most effective line of the race for Republicans going against Democrats is the candidate, the Democrat, voted 100% of the time with Biden and Pelosi. That's actually stuck. You see that coming up in all of these focus groups and things like that. The one that didn't work at all, that was a total dud, was when Biden talked about the mega MAGA Republicans.
Oh, that was great.
Nobody bought it. All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.